Don't tell him.
Greetings and salutations. It's Wednesday. It's 6 o'clock. Well, sorry, it's not Wednesday. Gary, it's Tuesday. But it's another episode of Waved Yellow. It's episode 70. How many, Gary?
75.
75.
Yeah.
Now, that was the year I was born, I think.
What, 1975? Does that make you an old?
I wish.
Older?
Gary, you've taken us into... Welcome again, and thanks for...
Just hi to everybody. And we are doing something totally different today. Okay?
What?
Because I've brought you to one of the newest workshops
Gary, what happens
in
if...
South Africa.
And there's lots of orange here. And what happens if I don't like orange? Orange, you glad you got me here?
Yeah, yes. So I've brought you here, and right with us here is Chris Kutzer.
Chris?
He is a responsible person for this beautiful facility we got here. So now I'm going to leave everything to you.
Thank you, Gary.
And do what I do.
What do you do, Gary?
I say hi to everybody with the typing and all that sort of stuff. So guys, I'll be answering comments. Please, if you've got comments for these guys, it's about rallying. Put your comments in there. We'll get them the questions, and they'll give us answers.
So let me just say this. Gary, go and work.
Okay.
Let me just say this. Sorry, I didn't mean to,
Yeah,
but you need to
rude.
work. I was super skeptical about modern rallying because, frankly, a 1600 two-wheel drive car gives me zero excitement. I would rather watch paint dry than watch a 1600 front-wheel drive rally car. But that's just me. That it doesn't compare to an Audi Quattro or a Ford RS, whatever that is, goes kind of fast. But Chris, you've changed my mind, and I'm a converted. Hi, my name's Colin. I'm converted back to rallying. I haven't heard the car, I haven't seen it go, but I've seen enough stuff in it. You wear two hats. You are Rally Technic.
Yes.
Excuse me, but you are also a part of the National Rally Commission, and this is quite an exciting development in rallying where we're finally going back to four-wheel drive cars.
Definitely. When we got rid of S2000s, as you know, a couple of years ago, mostly because of the cost factor that became just too much for our economy, it was always a 3-year plan. The Commission really had this vision of introducing R2 as the premier class with the front-wheel drive 1600s for 3 years, and after that to go back to four-wheel drive rallying. We fully understand that you really need a four-wheel drive category to make rallying exciting for everybody involved, and that includes the competitors.
So let's just, Gary, we've got a hierarchy of things here after you've filled in the toolbox. Now, this is seriously cool stuff. Those of you who know Snap-on, I'll tell you what, Gary, the Snap-on rep who services this building, he has got it made.
In other words, you don't tell me you had a great Easter.
He had a proper Easter, and he's going to have a great Christmas for the next 17 years because the stuff is not. So, Gary, come and have a look at our hierarchy of needs. And Chris, no, you're going to come and explain stuff here that in the, we'll just walk straight across it. So in the hierarchy of rallying, and we know the finest rally driver in the world is who? Ever? Sebastian Loeb. So he plays in WRC, and this is only for rallying, not for cross-country or rally raid or anything like that. So you've got WRC at the pinnacle, and at the bottom here, you've got R1. When I asked you earlier what R1 was, you said what?
I said those are the shit boxes.
Okay, so we're not allowed to swear on this thing. So we're going to, because it's a family show. We've got all sorts of people watching it.
But you wrote it.
Then it's because I've got Alzheimer's. And I couldn't even remember it. And that's why we've got do you see the cast we've got here? Carlos, Chris, Hergen, Pierre. Oh, there's Hergen again. He's like, that's because he's so tall. He makes a double show. We've got the top half and the bottom half. Gary, I need a box when we stand and talk to him. And then we've got Matthew and Oscar. So then you've got R2 and R3s, and these are front-wheel drive cars. Yeah. And they were normally aspirated. But strangely enough now, there's a new turbo motor in it, and it is a what?
Well, the R2 cars now, the ones that win the rallies are 1000cc 3-cylinder turbos. So they really sound like tractors, and they're awful to look at.
I'm excited as well. 1000cc. Hold on, but if 1000 cc's, that should be somewhere around about 250, 260 horsepower?
I've got no idea in horsepower. I'm too young for that. But they're around In our market, probably 115, 120 kilowatts.
Okay, so not 200 horsepower.
Yeah.
And then this R4 didn't exist, and R5 was kind of like a cheaper WRC because that's a super prototype, and then an R5 was a not so super, well, they made many of them, so there weren't too many prototypes. And then there's a bit of a gap here. So you've got guys who drive a 1000cc 3-cylinder turbo, and then they go straight from there into an R5, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder 4-wheel drive turbo that actually scares the daylights out of them.
So it's also 1600, but they make substantially more power than the new R4 category.
So it's 60% bigger, which is, see kids, maths is important. Maths and science, always focus on maths and science. We're going to talk again in our next series on triangles, so get ready for your trigonometry now. So now we've got R4, which is a cheaper version of an R5. In what way?
Well, first of all, the engine is production based, so it's really a standard engine that's just got a bigger turbo screwed on, but the rev limiter is about 1000 RPM lower than what the engine does in a road car. So it boosts a bit higher, but it's under stressed most of the time. So the engine can probably last 4,000 to 5,000 stage kilometers, which would be 4 years of rallying. And with an R5 car, you need to rebuild it once a year at maybe half a bar a pop.
You see, I think there are many rally drivers that I know of in this country who could take a motor that's rated for 5,000 kilometers and destroy it in 3 stages. But that's, you guys who know you are. But that's not the only thing. It's got, so you've got a robust engine that is designed to last for a long time. But more importantly, you've got effectively an R5 spec drivetrain.
Correct. The drivetrain is more or less straight out of the Ford Fiesta R5. So it's really overspec for the power. And then most of the suspension parts are really bulletproof. It's comparable in design to the R5, but because there's a higher weight limit on most of the parts, you will see that there's a lot of material there that you have to break. And to bend something will be really difficult. And of course, all the cars are exactly the same in that sense. So not everybody has to carry a whole truckload of spares. You can have 10 cars at a rally being serviced out of one service truck.
But let's just take a step back before the cars are built. So sometime last year, the FIA decided that we need to fill this gap just under R5s. And the concept they come up with is a car with common mechanicals, engine, gearbox, drive shafts, uprights, fuel system, ECU, steering. So all of the mechanicals are the same, and even to the cross members that carry the diff at the front and the back. And essentially, with that spec, they then go out to tender, and you haven't got, we're going to talk to some of the guys, the Frenchmen now, that Oreca won this tender as the supplier to the FIA for this kit that gets, you can just build your own shell and drop it on the top. And that's why Rally Technic.
Essentially, that's it. Oreca obviously won the tender put out by the FIA. And
see, our music department's doing well, eh?
Yeah, just while you're there, I mean, Sheldon van der Linde's just popped online and he wants to know if you can help him build a DTM rally car.
We can help him build anything he wants.
Okay.
But can I tell you what, Sheldon, congratulations on that shell color scheme for your Schnitzer BMW. It's the red, yellow, and white, finest color scheme of any shell racing car, and a great partner to be with. Let's go back. So you've now got to tie up Oreca, build the supply, the kit, and the car we're going to look at just now is a prototype of the Etios built by Oreca. We're going to run it in the Rally of South Africa this weekend in Sabi, Nelspruit, and you've got a close commercial partnership with Oreca.
Yes, that's right. We approached one another last year. Obviously, from our side, we needed this formula in South Africa. And, from a Rally Commission point of view, no one else was really doing anything about it. We had promises previously from other people to develop local cars. And that never
you know who you are.
that never panned out. So, of course, it makes more sense to go with the FIA formula, not some locally brewed thing. And we believe in the resale value of a FIA formula car. and therefore we wanted to bring this formula to South Africa. So we approached Oreca last year. We went over to France to speak to Carlos. We've had a lot of emails in between and so on. So we put our money where our mouth is, and we imported the first kit last year. And we've subsequently bought 4 more kits. So guys, they're available. They're in the store here. So if you pay your deposits, you can have cars.
Right.
Well,
so
from what I understand, the first kit is standing over there built.
No, well, Gary, this is a shell. So there's Carlos and Oscar. We're going to come and talk to them just now.
And this is Oscar, the boys from Oreca.
So here is a bare shell. And remember, last week we spoke about triangles and mathemagics and all the rest of it. And it's left-hand drive, because that's the way of the world, and it's a global car. So again, you'll see everything is all nicely triangulated. It's really neat and tidy and clean. All these bolts in here, they're not really there. It's just to keep the threads clean when it goes powder coating. So around the front end of the thing, this is the bare shell. You can see it's a proper racing car. Have a look at all this little lacquer welding here, Gary. Proper strut tops, all triangulated. Remember, the only way to put forces or to distribute a shock load here is through multiple points and triangles. Yes, Gary.
For you. Would this part be part of the original body,
No.
or is this a complete manufactured part of this kit, as they call
Gary,
it?
this tower over here no, this is not part of the kit. The kit ends at where you bolt the shock absorber or the damper onto the hub carrier. And above that, you've got some essential design points that you could build your own car with. And this is a Hyundai i20, so it's a little bit different. The geography or the space is a little bit different from the Etios, because that thing's a little tiny car.
So these would have been built by Chris and his team here in South Africa.
Yeah, Gary, and can you jump in and tell me I'm wrong?
Yes, actually this little part's part of the kit.
So the strut top.
The strut top, yes.
But all of this,
that's not.
so I was almost right.
Yeah. But to keep it fair and to keep it the same, absolutely the same for everybody, this is a kit part.
Awesome. Right. So, Gary, before I tell everybody how little I know, let's rather talk to Oscar. Carlos. You haven't got a car here, therefore you are Carlos. And Matthew, can I come into the middle over here, guys? You from Oreca, which is the French sports car company. Mm-hmm. But now, where's the connection between sports cars and rallying? Why?
Well, Oreca is not just a sports car company. I mean, it's a 45-year-old motorsports group. We do have a big heritage in racing, but rally has always been a big part of our DNA. Oreca's goal was always to become a manufacturer of racing cars. We've done that in sports car racing, and this is now us becoming manufacturers in rally. Manufacturing not a full car, for now a kit. This is why we need teams like Rally Technic who are making the full finally assembled car.
Now, you are in charge of the commercial side of it.
Yes.
But commercial's one thing, because you always ask for money. But Matthew, you, the engineer, are in charge of the overall project. What are the exciting bits from you in terms of building a kit that can actually last through and fit into a number of different vehicles?
The motivation is when you have experience on WRC car in the World Championship or even in the European Championship and on different regional championship, the only frustrating thing for the teams is to handle a car what they are not building, because they just buy cars in manufacturers. And I was one of them. I was one engineer able to handle the cars with the teams, able to win some races. But at a point, you want to make something. You want to create something. And this is what we found on Rally Red, for example, or on Rally Cross, that each team are able to make their own car and to participate to races. On Rally, there was not this possibility because the main rally cars you can buy since 10 years is R1, R2, R3, R5 and WRC cars. So mainly you just buy a car, handle a car and fight against the same car in a different team. So my motivation was to handle a project, to design common parts, but to give jobs to the team in order to give them the possibility to build their own rally car.
So you take the kit and that Oreca have designed and you engineered, and that can fit into any number of cars, a Hyundai, an Etios, a Mazda, a Ford, Gary, a Mini,
I-20.
I-20, a Hyundai, a Lamborghini, anything and it runs the common mechanicals and gives the team the chance to do some other engineering around the car as well.
Yeah, exactly. The main benchmark is, or I don't know if we say that in English, but whatever car you want to choose, the important is like it's a common car. You cannot use a GT car because it's a too small car and the construction of the standard body shell is not ready to adapt the R4 kit.
It must be a steel construction shell, no carbon fiber.
Yeah. Steel construction because the technical rules of the FIA not allow us to use aluminium body shell or carbon fiber body shell or whatever.
So Audi couldn't run the A3, they would have to run the A1 because it hasn't got the aluminium extrusions in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So mainly the team select the car, what they want to do. They have to send us the dimension of the car, and Oreca give the technical support and give them all the points to fit the R4 kit. So mainly all the R4 will have the same geometry, will have the same engine, the same gearbox. The only points that the team can put their own engineering is on the construction, weight repartitions, and selection of the electronic systems and dampers.
So that brings back to the commercial side of it, which is, and your chief role, I think, is to sell kits. Yeah. And in terms of selling the kit, is that why you're in South Africa, to add the support and help Rally Technic get up as a global manufacturer of R4 cars?
Definitely. I mean, it's in our interest to help Rally Technic to really push these cars onto market, help and be evangelists of this new formula, go and discuss with teams, discuss with brands, with local importers, and really create this market. We're doing pull and push at the same time. For them, there's a big business, be it in spare parts, be it in options, because the kit is only a part of the car, but there's a lot of other things to add on to the car. Mathieu mentioned dampers, for example. They're a free choice. You can do your own setup. You can then service it. You can sell your spares. I mean, this is a long-term project.
And electronics, so this car behind us has got a Morelli system in it. Could you run a Life or any of the other systems?
The engine electronics, they're standard, they're closed, and they're the same for everyone. But the cockpit electronics, they can be Morelli as this one, or Life, or Motec, or whatever you wish to work with.
So, manufacturers in South Africa with common cars, and we think of some of the biggest probably success story in small car manufacturing. Gary, you know my favorite manufacturer at the moment has got to be Suzuki. So Megan, check this out. You can have your own rally car at a fraction of the price. Honda, there's Alpha. There are some, well, okay, Alpha's still got to sell some cars, but I believe they've got a guy in there who really is pretty hot at it. But a Fiat. And so those exciting cars, the Kia, you've got a Hyundai. Toyota, watch this space.
Great Wall Motors.
Shall we? Great Wall Motors.
Yeah.
But
Haval.
Sorry, Gary, I've got a frog in my throat. Right, let's have a look at the car. From the outside, it looks like a normal rally car, but there are a couple of cool things about it. You'll notice the styling. It looks sort of half WRC-ish. Our technical department wants us to have a look at the engine. So here's an engine that goes round, round, round. Suck.
This is my hairdryer.
Suck,
No?
press, bang, blow. That's what an engine does.
Your part, okay.
So it starts sucking here, inlet over here into the compression side of the turbo. This is the wastegate with its lever. And, well, let's start at the end after it's blown.
Okay.
So it blows up here through the exhaust manifold into the turbo, all lacquer heat insulated, because if you keep the heat inside, heat is energy. Because
Yes.
energy doesn't change. I mean, you can't make it. It just changes from one form to another.
Is this color because this car's been raced before?
Yes, Gary, this thing apparently has done 5,000 stage kilometers, and it's still in one piece, because you can't kill a Toyota. It's impossible.
Didn't this enter a rally in Spain?
It probably did, but you know. So yes, it did.
Hold on. This was in a rally in Spain.
Yes, this was at the final of the gravel championship last year, and they did a second place behind the Skoda R5 and between a bunch of Skoda and R5s and WRCs.
Very good. So we've got in Espanol.
yeah.
Me no hablo español.
So that's rally 1. But I believe another car has done a rally 2.
Gary, I don't know. Gary, who's
You've had another car into another rally, didn't you?
Yes, the Fiat R4, which is made in France, raced its first rally a couple of weeks ago. It did an 8th place. Again, there were 17 R5s and a bunch of WRCs, and we scored a solid 8th place. So that was pretty satisfying.
So there we have it. Now the third.
So this weekend will be the third rally an R5 has entered.
R4, Gary.
R4, sorry.
You must count. It's one.
You see the two gentlemen over there? They're responsible for making this thing go.
So let's talk. Gary, have you got something I can stand on?
And you know something?
'Cause
They've actually both come out of retirement.
Because do you know how we know they were retired? Because Pierre's very clever. Pierre Aries, very clever. He's got a hat on. And that's the problem with old age. Jürgen?
I've been like that for 10, 15 years, so it's got nothing to do with retirement.
That was just after you were...
It's just from wearing the helmet often.
So, you're out of retirement, and what was the exciting part that got you out of retirement to come and play with a proper car?
Look, since I retired, I did 1 or 2 events since then, and both times in a front-wheel drive car, and
That must have excited you.
it really bored me. So I decided that I would stop forever, and then obviously 4-wheel drive again. It's pretty much the same as a S2000. It's a 1600, but it's a turbocharged version, so it's got more torque than the S2000. A little bit less power, but I think torque obviously is more what you use in a rally, especially on a gravel rally.
Somebody uses a lot of torque on a gravel rally. And he said earlier that you're only going to talk on the inside of the car. Pierre, you've come from Dubai. You've come a long way in rally championships in South Africa. Is it 4 or 5 championships that you've won?
4 or 5 that I nearly won. I officially won 2. So,
But nearly does count in motorsport.
yeah, absolutely, it means the world. But just for the record, I have not retired officially. I've run out of drive.
You run out of drives or you run out of drivers?
No,
Both.
I stick with the best. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we've run out of drivers.
He calls me his chauffeur.
Yes. Yeah.
That's basically what I'll be doing this weekend.
Chauffeur.
So you've come from Dubai. There's just something that I need to work out, the language that you speak. And I try and navigate for Gary, but it's difficult. I've got ways, and first of all, you've got a woman who tries to tell you where to go. And then I tell him to go wherever and how fast, and it doesn't work because I don't think he listens. But Jürgen listens to you because he has to trust his life in you, and you don't want him to crash. So let's say you're coming up to a corner. How do you call that corner so that he kind of knows what to do?
Well, these days we have the advantage of recce's. So essentially we're going over the route twice before the rally. The first time we're making notes, so he's reading to me what he wants me to write. On the second pass, I'm reading back to him what I've inscribed on my pace notebook.
And then he can modify in case where he thought it was a flat, it's flat with a bit of a lift.
Well, you know, occasionally I do test him, because if he tells me it's a right 5, for example, which is 50 degrees, I'll make it a 4, and I'll just test how good he actually is, you know, how much talent he actually has. And he surprises me, I have to say. Yeah.
So, 4, how fast is a 4? That means it's 40 degrees.
Yeah, so on a gravel road, even though it's 40 degrees, if it's a very narrow road, it will be slightly slower than a 4 in a wide road. So maybe if it's almost a 2-lane road, a 4 would be as fast as you could go.
It also depends if there's a 9 after the 4. Yeah, sure. Because you can't take the 4 flat out and then sort the mess out when you're at the 9, because that could be quite a big accident.
So you've got to think ahead.
Yeah. So it's still visual. You still use your senses. Obviously, you don't just drive exactly to what he's saying, but what it does do is, you know, the corner is going 40 degrees to the right, so you know where to look and what you're looking for, and then at least you get the picture of where the road is going.
And you'll have made a note on there, for instance, if there's a rock and we're going to the forest, so there's tree stumps and bits of, I nearly said cuck, Gary, but you're not allowed to say that, eh?
You just did.
So there's bits of stuff on the inside, and you'll make a note there, don't cut or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Don't cut, you know, all those little tweaks that we essentially doing on the second pass. Because on the second pass, I'm reading back the notes and we're finding them. So the don't cuts, or the, like, typically we'd add a plus or minus to a number. So a right 4 plus would mean it's tight, but you can go.
Pin it, brother, pin it.
Absolutely. Maximum.
What is the most exciting car you've driven, just on a rally stage, and in the context of it?
I would say the most exciting was actually the old Class B Golfs. It was actually a 7 version of it. So it was a 2-liter front-wheel drive car, which pretty much could do 220 on gravel, where, you know, the S2000s were pretty much 185. So,
and they were also set up to be, how shall we put it, not understeer.
Yeah. So, and because they were very quick, and maybe because it was a lot earlier in my career, that thing scared me.
And did you scribble any? Not that you can remember. No, we don't talk about that. Right, let's have a quick, guys. All the best for this rally. We're going to be there. It's the first time I'm going back to a rally in like a mud of a lot of years. I'm actually finally excited about it, having seen this proper rally car. And Gary, we're going to go and have a look at some of these things. Are we allowed to go underneath?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start on the underneath. So we checked out here, it's got engine and all the rest of it. That doesn't excite us. So Gary, come here. And the parts you got to check out, this is a cross member. It is the world's largest cross member in a rally car. It is F for strong. You are not. I'll tell you what, if we bring this, our lighting department has got clever. Gary, does that work better for you?
Yeah.
So you can see, I just want to get my hands keep working.
Why don't you put the light down and use your hand? Because it's got a stand. There we go.
It's got a stand.
Fine.
Gary,
It's fine.
okay, so here's a cross member, and it is strong. It's boxed. It's got all sorts of bits and pieces on the inside. And then a lower control arm, also fat as hell. And kind of a cool idea with the lever for the anti-roll bar, and it's got 3 positions. You know, Gary, sometimes rally drivers get too fussy. So you don't want to give them infinite adjustments. Just make it soft, medium, or hard. And then when I looked at this car, this is tubular, and it is fabricated. The compression strut at the back here is machined. And you'll see it's got a flat part on the top here.
Yeah.
Now, how clever is that? And it's also got a very narrow narrowing here.
Explain that cleverness.
That's the
to
weak
me.
point.
No, the cleverness of it being flat.
Yeah, well, it's designed to bend and not, and if it bends so that it doesn't push all the force back in here.
Okay.
If you made this hell of a strong, and you know these rally drivers, if they cut the corner and they hit a tree, this will get or pushed backwards, and the force goes in here, and you don't want to bend the chassis and all the rest of it.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. The other thing on the inside here, Gary, you can see the machined. Or should we look at this one?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So here's the hub carrier, and this car's got common hub carriers all the way around. So that's one component. The drive shafts are also the same all the way around. The diff. Oh man, we've got to get out of here.
Where are you going?
I'm getting out of here. Come.
Oh,
Let's go and come, old man. Can I pick you up?
God. Okay, fine. So now we've got to go around this way.
So now we're going to go over here, and we can see the other side of.
That's one mega brake system.
It is. Well, it's a 4-pot caliper. It's pretty sort of standard amongst rally cars. And here's the
other end of what we looked at underneath the car.
of the hub carrier,
Yeah.
and the dampers, which are
What sort of material is this type of stuff?
aluminum, Gary. Aluminum.
Okay.
And you've got a damper with a really fat shaft in it over here.
Do you remember the last time you had your hand underneath one of these?
Yeah, that was Peter Solberg's car.
Yeah, and
That
he
was
gave us
really
a dirty
cool.
eyeball.
Yeah. So very nicely built. And now it's left-hand drive. You've got an AP pedal box. And you can see it looks like a proper rally car. And it is a proper rally car.
Put the light in from the back if you can.
We're going to put the light in from the back.
Yeah.
Gary? Okay, so our lighting department is in here. There we go. Gary, you stay this side. I'm going to go that side. So, like any normal rally car, it's a sequential gearbox.
Yeah.
And you need a switch so that you can engage reverse in it. And this is your handbrake system. And you see how nice and well engineered this is, so that you've got chance to actually give a progressive level of handbrake. It's not full brake. You can actually. We'll talk to Hergen and
feathering.
Well, we'll talk to him and see if he actually does that. Electronic power distribution module, all really cool. Morelli.
And then the main brain's down there.
But how cool is this that on a driver's side, all you need to know is gearbox and what gear you're in.
Oh, okay.
So you go faster. Cool little thing over here at the back. Oh, it sounds so lacquer. Fuel pumps and N for neutral. Shall we see if it actually works? There we go. 1, and then 2, and then. Okay.
Colin, don't break it.
And you push a button and you get neutral.
Oh, you know our luck. Your brakes.
Gary, I don't break nothing. And just little touches. So the washer bottle for the windscreen is at the bottom here. There's 2 reasons for that. You want to keep a couple of kilograms of water low down.
Yeah.
And also the pipe that goes from here to the windscreen wiper short, so that it's got instant reaction. Anyway, so that's the inside of a really bloody lacquer motor car. It is. I'm impressed. I've actually got the gears back for rallying. I went front off rallying for a long time. Didn't interest me at all. But the gears is here. And you know what else there's gears in this car? Check this, Gary. What is this here? Carbon frickin' fiber.
Oh.
You
So
got to love it.
So it does come up with some of our elements.
It's got carbon fiber. It's got. I saw tie wraps in it. Check it. There's tie wraps over there.
I've got a tie
You
wrap.
got tie wraps. And remember, we spoke about the other car and the requirement from the FIA to have all hard elements close to a driver's head that is covered in energy absorbent material. And that's what this black stuff is over here. It's proper energy absorbing material. It feels pretty hard.
It's not pool noodles.
It's not pool noodles.
Yeah.
Buy the right safety equipment. I cannot spend the money on the safety equipment. Proper seats, proper seat belts with crotch straps. Oh, man. So I've got the gears again.
Yes.
Like you can't believe. This is the foam, the crash structure foam, mandated by FIA as well.
Okay.
And there's, for the side impact.
All
You
right.
want to try and get the drivers, you'll see the seats are further to the middle of the car. And Gary,
Now you said this was
I've got the
four-wheel drive,
gears.
didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So we can check
where-
the back here.
Can we?
Yeah.
Are we
So
going down?
there's a diff at the back in the middle there. The same drive shaft as the front. The same hub carrier This is the drive shaft here.
Yeah, I see that.
The same hub carrier as at the front. And then, very interestingly, this stone guard.
Yeah.
And the back of these cars slide around quite a lot. And you don't want stones coming in here and getting caught between the caliper and the rim and cutting the rim down. You got the same dampers all the way around. Gary, it's Muravalaka. Oh, and of course, what would a racing car be without a flirk?
And it's even got a thingy on it.
I've taught you what that is.
Uncle Gurney came to visit. Look here, guys.
He
There's even a Gurney thing on here.
A thingy?
Yeah. Gurney flap.
And what are these fences for, Gary?
To keep, to create a...
Create one of those?
Yeah, to create straight line speed and forget the
Because which is the part of the wing that works? Is it the top or the bottom?
The bottom.
Why?
Because it sucks.
Yes. Gary, so at last you're beginning to learn. So that's kind of cool. It all looks very lacquer. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and little furry animals, it is Oreca. It is from France. And interestingly, this car is registered in Paraguay.
Paraguay?
Paraguay. You know where Paraguay is, hey?
South America.
So they say. Gary?
Right.
Is that it?
You know, no, you've got to finalize one of the things. So I know there's a couple of questions. I need to actually pick
Okay,
up
so
the
you go and
questions.
do your thing, and then we'll have our should we have a round table discussion, Gary? Focus.
Where do you want to go?
Gary, just watch my eyes.
I'm watching.
Check here. Focus, bro. Because, very kindly, they went into the store.
Okay.
I have to use my hands frequently. These are the parts that are really cool. That when they come from, and they're priced in euro.
Yes.
Because it's very important that you protect your euro investment. So guys, don't invest in cryptocurrency. That's crap. Invest in a growing asset, and that's an R4 rally car. So this is that the tension rod that we explained with its weak points, and it is beautifully machined. You could actually go out on a club and murren. In England, if you walked around like this, they'd charge you because it's a dangerous weapon. But the machining, it is beautiful. Now, you've got the capability of making running spares in
Colin,
South Africa like
why
this.
don't you bring those a bit closer to the camera and just put them in and around this area for me?
In and around this area, and you can see it's all engraved because you never know who
Is
it comes
that
from.
flat part you were telling me about when I was lying on my
That's
back?
the reduced part
Okay,
there.
cool.
And then here's the correct term, I believe, is wasted,
Okay.
as in what happens on a Friday night.
Oh, I thought it normally happens after our show.
Gary, family show.
Now
So-
listen, I have a crazy question. I don't really understand it, okay? But Greg Charman, you compress steel body parts out of thinner steel, as they did by manufacturers in the 1980s and 90s. Is that so?
Gary, you can press, if you went to a precipice, which is the end of a cliff, you'd have to press very hard. But yes, you can. You can do, from an engineering point of view, if you wanted to cheat, you could do a whole lot of things. But it doesn't really help because you've still got to have a minimum weight in a car. And the modern, the finite element analysis and the strength for the material that is built into the small cars, apart from some of the other shit boxes that, that you would never ever drive, is pretty strong. So don't waste your time and effort, Greg, in trying to cheat. Just buy the thing in bare metal and then bring it to the guys at Rally Technic. Are you going to start a Race Technic division?
Maybe one day when we're too old to rally, we'll go for track stuff.
Because I'm just picturing a Rally Technic side over here and then a Race Technic here with an Oreca, an LMP2 car. That would be magnificent.
I think Colin's looking for a drive.
Right. Gary, are there any other questions that people have asked us?
No, there's one or two, but I'm gonna read it to you, and I don't quite know if we can actually answer. But Quinton Landman asks, what has more support, on-road series or off-road series? Support as in competitors and sponsors' involvement. I think
Sure,
for
that's
where
a
where
question.
we are in South Africa, and maybe after this weekend we can actually give a better answer to that, because I think it's a little bit unfair to try and separate them right now as what the exposure.
Gary, you sound like you don't want to nail your colours to the mast. I'm about the future. I'm hopeful. And anybody who talks badly about motorsport in South Africa, please do me a favor. Close your computer, turn around, and exit left.
Otherwise, you can buy.
We are here.
Colin's got some small pills. They're called cement pills.
No, we are here because we love motorsport. You love motorsport. We're passionate about motorsport. And I will do whatever I can. I'm an evangelist to grow motorsport. So it doesn't matter who's bigger and better and all the rest of it. You've got 10 or 15 people working in this environment, building workshops. You're a small, what would call a small or medium, a small business and an enterprise.
Yes, definitely.
And there are highly skilled people here.
Yeah, I think together in the shop we're still building a team, but between the 3 founding members, we probably have about 60 years of experience in South African rally. So,
is that because you started young, or you guys are so old now?
Well, all 3 of us probably started young.
You're blushing, Chris.
Well, I'm 50 next month, so there you go.
I wish. You got another question?
I'll be doing it until I really can't do it anymore. Yes, absolutely. That's when I go to the racetrack.
That's what
All
I
right.
say.
This first question is from Werner Kukemoer. What is the minimum weight of an R4?
I give up. Shall we talk to? We need Matthew.
Matthew. Is
Matthew.
he here? Matthew.
We have another. See, Matthew was out making bits and pieces. Matthew, the minimum weight of an R4 car, what is it?
It is the same as the R5 category. It's 1,230.
Is that with, as it's running, or dry weight?
Dry weight, so you have to add 160 kilograms for the crew.
And in Hergen, you don't weigh 80 kilos anymore, do you, Hergen? Oh, well, okay, there you go. 65. 75. There's not 75 kilos there. Hold on. Come, Pierre, come. Because now that for every kilogram that you drop,
it works on a euro per kilogram basis.
you donate a euro.
No, I get paid additional euros for every kilogram that I drop.
Is that per kilometer or per event?
No, just per kilogram. We keep it simple.
But you should. They're not going to play you in dirhams.
No, hell no. Also, my nickname is Deadweight. So, that's something that I've come to terms with, and I've embraced it. Because navigators are known as deadweight.
No, they're not. I love navigators and I love rally co-drivers. They are not just deadweight, because without you, he'd be slower. He'd crash more. And some say that the navigators help the drivers behave themselves. Do you prefer your driver in a night stage when he can't see the cliff?
Or 100%. When you can't see where you're going to crash, much better. You go much faster.
I love that. Gary, another question.
Okay, we got 2 questions.
Yes.
All right.
Now, guys, this is your chance. Matthew is the chief engineer from Oreca on this rally program.
Yeah.
He knows a whole lot of stuff. He's worked with Jean-Marc. So he has the ability to withstand volatile people.
Okay. First question is, sorry, hang on a second, I moved.
Focus, Gary.
Okay, now this goes to both Chris and the guys from Oreca. How many R4 cars are you hoping to have racing by the end of the 2019 season? And I'm going to say on a worldwide basis.
Right, so let's start with the kits. How many kits are you going to manufacture and get running this year?
There is, first of all, there is today 12 cars under constructions. So we believe to have about 5 cars till the end of the year running entering a race.
Okay, so homologated 5 cars, and there's a Mini, there's this Toyota, there's a Hyundai. What else have you got?
So you say there is a Mazda 2 from
next door.
Our next door. Yeah, Fiat is already done and already homologated.
So there you go, Fiat Chrysler South Africa, your Mopar division. You can have a Fiat 500 running in the rallying. So Gary, so far we've got interest from Suzuki. We'll wind Fiat up and get them going. It'll just go more and more. Chris, how many cars are you hoping to build in this shop by the end of the year?
Before the end of the year, our aim is to finish at least 3 cars. The Hyundai i20 that we currently see there behind us, the Mazda 2, and one other car that I'm not allowed to say exactly what it is yet.
So would that be another Fiat Mini, or are you hoping for a BMW?
No, I can say that it's one of the brands that's traditional rallyists in South Africa.
Right, so Volkswagen Motorsport, we really hope that you bring your polio and branch out into the rallies. Gary, you got another question?
Yes, but I think this is where Carlos might come into it, and because I want the price of this in euros or dollars, okay? and it comes from your friend Reggie. Richard Root says, how much? And then the next line puts there, euros, dollars, and pounds.
Okay.
So I think let's be fair to everything, because this is an internationally based development program. It's not only South African. So the question back to Carlos is, what is the average price of an R4?
But, Carlos, come and stand here. Let me help here, because the thing that people look at in racing cars is they look at the quanto costa to buy, and they see a big number. But it's not so much the number to buy the car, it's a number to buy the car and run it through the year. So to put these things into perspective, an R5 rally car, I'm led to believe, is in the region of 260,000 euros. And let's put that in South African money, to run it is 1,000 euros a kilometer. 1,000 euro, 16,000 rand per kilometer to run it.
I think if you keep it in euros or dollars, it makes it simple, because we're talking to an international audience, and those can do their own calculations.
Let's go back to buy one of these and to run it.
So the running cost is good that you talk about it, because it's the key point of the R4. An R5, from our calculations and from what the manufacturers advise, is in the region of between 60 and 80 euros per kilometer to run. Okay. Euros, we're talking.
Okay,
euros. An R4 is around 40 to 50% less this running cost. So it means
that's about 20 euros a kilometer.
That's about 30 euros per kilometer.
My maths is not very good.
So this means that your season, because you buy a car, as you say, you buy a car, then you need to run it, and you need to run a season, and you need to make several rallies. The more rallies you can run, the more points you can get. If you've got, rallying is a sport made of surprises, made of unexpected outcomes, and if your car is expensive to run, your surprises would be even more expensive. So this is a key point in R4 as well, is to make rally viable and long term.
And to buy a car, if I wanted to buy this Etios.
Yeah. So for example, that obviously depends on who's manufacturing this car and where they're manufacturing it, because labor costs are not the same all around the world. We know we have a car will cost between 165 and 100, depending on how.
Right, so let's take that as a ballpark of 170,000 euros. Now, that's not. I think that's actually quite reasonable, considering there's a hill climb car that just
let's not
landed.
Because there's one more question.
Yes,
okay?
Gary.
Werner Kukumo again asks, what is the base engine manufacturer? What is the base engine manufacturer that they use? So what is that, like that engine standing over there, or in here? What is the base engine?
So the engine, the engine has been homologated by the FIA as an FIA R4 engine, so like a global engine. The base is a 1.6 from PSA, from Peugeot Citroën. Obviously, we start from a standard engine. This is the way to keep the costs down. This is what allows the R4 to have such a low running cost as we talked about. It's an engine that is available all around the world. That in its standard spec has a very high performance, and it's very reliable. I mean, these 5,000 kilometers with a standard turbo. You know, this.
You haven't changed that turbo's raced 5,000 kilos.
Yeah. So I mean, this unit here, this is not the development unit anymore. Obviously now we're racing, so we can't afford to come to the African Rally Championship with an engine that has 5,000 kilometers on the clock, especially because we advise everyone to do a rebuild at 5,000. So that's what we've done. We've taken it to 5,000. We've even done the rally that we've done in Spain that we talked about, that we did in second place. The car already had 5,200, so we were already pushing it. This one is now, it's a fresh engine with a fresh turbo, to go racing in the best conditions possible, obviously.
We spoke earlier about the number of cars, and this is very early. Gary, you remember in South Africa a couple of years ago we were having this debate, is TCR the right formula for this country? And it was kind of, we were behind the wave on that, and it was a little bit too early.
True.
And how many cars has Audi made in TCR now? Over 200, a lot.
More.
So the wave, do you expect the popularity of R4 to get in a similar way, not to rival TCR, but in a similar way to grow very quickly in a short period of time?
Well, obviously we hope for that, and we believe that it is possible because it's like TCR. It's a viable way to go racing.
True.
With a lot of performance, with a car that handles like a racing car, but that doesn't cost a fortune to run. It doesn't cost a fortune to repair. It doesn't cost a fortune to buy either. It can teach you what you need to learn to move on to other racing categories. I mean, TCR is a proper racing car with proper handling, so then it prepares you for the steps that come next, like the R4 as you started with the hierarchy. I mean, after the R4 there's R5, there's WRC, but we believe that you need to go through this. This is the door into four-wheel drive to really prepare yourself to then do things properly in more powerful four-wheel drive categories and really build a rally driver career.
Carlos, thank you very, very much. Are you staying on for the rally this weekend?
Of course.
Awesome. So the rally this weekend it will be the African debut of this Oreca designed and built Toyota Yaris. It's in, where's it, guys? Nelspruit? Sabi, Nelspruit, sort of Mpumalanga over
right.
there.
Yeah.
It used to
Above the rain.
It used to be the muddy slip. So we really, really hope that there's no mud and we don't slip. Gary?
Now, listen, I just want to say a big thanks to Chris, to the guys from Oreca, allowing us into this fantastic workshop and sticking our cameras where we normally stick things. And to all of you guys online, thanks for watching. Stick with us. We'll be live with you from Friday morning till the end of the rally on Saturday evening. All right? And then watch Facebook tomorrow. We're going to do something crazy tomorrow afternoon. Colin, thank you.
Gary, thank you, and congratulations to the production team, our technical guys, the lighting department. I think you guys are absolutely fantastic. Good finding a new venue for us. To Chris and the team at Rally Technic and Carlos and Matthew from Oreca, thank you for being so honest and open and sharing with us. It's been a blast. I've got the gees for rallying again like you cannot believe. Boys and girls, have fun, be safe. We're going to see you tomorrow for episode 76. Have fun, be safe, good night.